Hey, welcome everybody to the WAVEcast, your source for all things Wave Project. It's just our little podcast, our way of putting our information out there into the world so we can keep you tuned into all things WAVEcast, our service, what's happening out there on the streets, any new information, updates. And we also, from time to time, have the ability to share this time with some of our close partners in service, some of our friends, even people that we find interesting, so that you, as our listeners, as our supporters, as people out in the community who care, can just be a little bit more informed and even just know some cool stuff about nonprofits and people really making a difference out in the streets of Detroit. So today, I am very happy to say that I have my friends Greg and Sharon Monblow from Blessing Bags Brigade of Michigan. I'm going to give you a little round of applause. You guys can clap too. It's a fun time. We're all going to clap together. This is a good thing. Yeah, hopefully we're not blowing up anybody's eardrums here. And these folks are some of the finest humans you will find anywhere, but especially here in Metro Detroit. And we have a lot to kind of get into today, how we made connections and how we started serving together and just became friends. But before we do that, I just wanted to make sure that I reminded everybody that if you like this podcast, if you're a supporter of Wave Project, one thing you can really do to help us out is by clicking below, by liking this podcast, by subscribing. And if you are listening on any of the major podcast outlets, if you can give us a rating, hopefully 5 stars, that would be super, super helpful to us with all the computer stuff and the tech stuff. Those are greatly appreciated. So with that being said, our thought today, Greg and I almost said Lisa. My neighbors from my old neighborhood were Greg and Lisa, so that's going to be a hard thing for me to do. Greg and Sharon. And Sharon, you can punch me through the screen here if I call you Lisa again. And Lisa, if you're listening to this online, hi, I miss you. But anyways, to start off with, I just want to frame it for everybody. You guys, have kids, you have a life, you have, so much going on, and you've stepped into service. But I would like to just kind of start off by telling our listeners and people who support Wave Project that out of all of our partnerships, all of our sites, all of our supporters, Greg and Sharon have been with us from the very beginning. And it kind of started out with us just finding each other actually through Facebook, I think, and kind of going from there, and we'll tell that story. But I just wanted to start out by thanking you guys. We'll get into what you do as a nonprofit and how we partner, but just as friends and as humans, thank you so much for just being on this mission with us and for all that you do. And even in the practical ways where you guys are so thoughtful and caring, we just appreciate you and partnering with you. So thank you very much.
The feeling is mutual.
Yeah, the feeling is very mutual, Todd. It's been a great relationship that we've had now for 3 years, I think. 2 years?
Yeah, I think since 2018. Yeah, so 3 years. I needed to take a second to do that math. That's how smart I am.
Yeah, it'll be 3 years. 3 years this summer, because that was when you first did your barbecues at church.
Yeah. Well, to kind of kick it off, I'd like you guys to just kind of start off by, telling people who you are, what you do, a little bit about your life as much as you're willing to, and kind of, the back story to the wonderful people behind your organization.
The backstory. So Sharon and I have been married for 27 years. 27 years? 27 years. 27 years, a long time. We got 3 kids, 27, 20, soon to be 26, and 19, soon to be 20. Service has always been some things that we have done pretty much really throughout our service, whether it's, a senior adoption day that we end up, adopting a senior for 15 years and not just, over a weekend, to, other types of service. And so, it's just something that we have always done, and we have always enjoyed doing together, actually, as a couple.
Awesome.
But this was not anything that we had planned to be what it is now.
Sure.
It was a one-time thing. We have a friend, Dina Collins from C4 Urban Outreach. I think you know her too.
Yeah, yeah.
We knew she went downtown and served once a week. And I thought, well, let's make these little hygiene bags for her one time.
Sure.
And we thought maybe 20, 25 bags. And so she says, no, I serve about 100 people a week. And we said, wow, well, we'll do what we can and we'll just put some bags together for you. So we put 60 bags together and we went to go give them to her. And she invited us to go downtown. And
Yeah.
we've never done street ministry and we were, not in our comfort zone. So, she convinced us and we went downtown and wow. That changed everything.
Yeah, it blew up from there. If you know Dina, Dina isn't very. She's not mousy to ask you for anything. Right?
Not in the least.
So Dina was more like, no, you're not going to deliver them to me. You're going to come downtown.
Yes.
And you're going to serve with us. You're going to serve and see it. And I think, like Sharon said, it really was that moment that we were hooked, right? So again, I go back. We've been serving a long time, but this was a completely different type of service because it really it kind of made you put your boots on and really start digging into the trenches about where the need is and really the population that we serve, because Detroit, it's all homeless, but it's not.
No.
And I think that's was the biggest eye opener for us, especially the location we were at. There was a monster women's shelter right across the street, right? So you had women and children. Yes, they were housed, but they were poor. They were in transition, right? So they're not really homeless. Then you did have a homeless population of all colors and creeds and lifestyles and so on and so forth, right? So you see the gamut of everything. And then there was, a group or a population that had a home, right? But struggled with bills and food and things like that, and they needed the necessities. And so we realized what hygiene, what a necessity hygiene is, and how much it's really overlooked, right? As the more entrenched that we get.
Well, you guys are very humble, and you guys, in my experience, are always one to talk about the wonderful things that God is doing through your ministry, and to celebrate your volunteers and all of those things. And in your humility, you often very quickly move past yourselves. But I'm officially a podcast host in this moment, so I'm going to circle back. The question, "Who are you?" Forgive me if I missed it in there, but as people, as humans, what is? Because most people don't understand. They see our organizations and they think oh, that's what they do, right? And they don't realize that with a lot of these smaller nonprofits that are around town, people like yourselves, you have day jobs, you have hobbies, you have other things going on. So what's your occupation? What are you interested in? You guys got fans out there. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I've been, my entire career I've been in sales, right? And really from a technology perspective, it is afforded us to live a nice lifestyle. It has afforded us, for Sharon, to do the most important job, which is to be a stay-at-home mom, with our three kids. It's hard to talk about yourself in terms of kind of the who, what, why, where, when, and how, right? Because we don't do that. We just normally don't do that.
I know, but I am a hardcore podcast host that's forcing you to do so. So it's okay. What about
out of my comfort zone, Todd? And you should know. It's
yes.
out of our comfort zone.
This is the hard-hitting podcast here, right? Sharon, how about you? What are your hobbies? What's your occupation? What those things?
I'm a mom, and then as the kids got older, I was working with special needs in the school districts as a para-pro.
Yeah.
And I went back to school, and I became a massage therapist. But this has, like I said, taken over. This is everything we do, and it's been wonderful for us and for our family, and it's just it's wonderful. What we get back from this is just amazing. It's almost become our hobby. And
yeah, I was thinking
we
the
like
same
to
thing.
golf.
Yeah, we golf.
Oh, you do?
We do a little travel. We still do a lot of little things, right? But quite frankly, she's right. It's our hobby now, or our second full-time job.
We've met amazing people. We've gotten so many new friendships, and it's just been life-changing, and it's weaved itself into our life and our mainstream way of
Yeah, it
being.
is. It is as much as a part of our life as pretty much everything else that we do. Much like I'm pretty sure it is with you and what
Sure.
you've done with the Wave Project.
Well, I'm even learning things. I didn't know you all were golfers, so that's awesome. I, however, am the most terrible golfer that has ever blessed. What?
I didn't say we were good golfers.
Oh,
I said
but
we like to golf.
yeah, nobody wants me in a golf course. Because I actually I have a poor attitude about it. Like that sort of thing. Like not that like I'm throwing things or anything, but like I struggle with the game, as some people would say. So it's good that you guys find joy in that and are able to do that. But yeah, I totally understand, and I think a lot of people listening can really connect with that. The idea that when we have a passion in our life, when we are called to something, whether it be faith-based or otherwise, we naturally are drawn to it and pour our time and our energy into it. And, it's fun, it's fulfilling. And, I hear that in what you guys are saying as well.
And we've talked about incorporating this into other things that we wanted to do as we're entering retirement age. We've talked about getting an RV and traveling around, and we can incorporate this in it. So
Yeah.
it's just part of who we are at this point.
Yeah.
And it's just weaved into our life.
Yeah, we were we had been.
We did have an RV.
Yeah, we did
at one point.
But we I guess I liken it to we were talking with another famous, not quite famous as you are, and this.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
But when we were it dawned on me. It's the saying is that we don't have to serve, right? For us, it's a privilege to be able to do what we do for groups like Wave, the Wave Project, and the 18 organizations that we support with hygiene kits, and it's amazing. Unfortunately, with COVID for last year, we didn't get to do our true love, right, which was to actually be feet on the street at least once or maybe three times a month. We're really hoping that changes this year, because it is as great as it is to be able to deliver to organizations, right? Putting our boots on and being back in the trenches, I think, is something that we both miss greatly and dearly.
Yeah.
Doing that.
It's been tough. Well, my day gig is a middle school choir teacher. I don't know if I've ever stated that on the podcast or not, but I take so much joy from that. But also, as uncool as I am, the kids can't help but have an influence on me, and I pick up some of the things they say. And one of the things that I've heard recently is like, just Mr. Gordon, explain it to me like I'm 5. That's one of their sayings. So if we sort of put it in that context to somebody who might not know about Blessing Bags Brigade, if you can, just to kind of get awareness out there, explain it to our audience like they're 5. They're not, obviously, but what are the basics? I hear you saying that C4 was really influential in inspiring you and getting that going. But once you guys got that calling and made the choice to go, how did it start? What is it, and what does that look like for you all today?
Well, we started in 2015 with those few bags with Dina. Fast forward to today, we're doing 1,000 bags a month, and we give them to 18 different organizations who give them to the public. And they're organizations from Detroit Rescue Missions downtown to Huron House up in Port Huron, all over the Tri-County area. What we do is our mission is to provide hope through hygiene. We provide hygiene bags to people in need in the Detroit metro area. So we collect donations on our website. We place an order for our product. We bundle the product into boxes, and we actually now give them to special needs adults.
Oh, man.
Them into the bags. And we have a school, Lutz School in Clinton Township.
Yeah, Clinton Township.
It's right down the street from my house.
Yeah.
I used to work
Oh,
there.
awesome.
So
so they assemble the majority of them. We have a few that assemble out of their home. and then they bring it back to us, and then we go deliver it out to the outreaches. Now, like Greg said, because of COVID, we're not serving those outreaches. But now that we're vaccinated, probably June, we can get back out on the street and start passing them out ourselves. But that's basically what we do, huh?
It is, and maybe some exciting stuff is that for the first time in really the 5 years, we've actually been able to order really direct from the distributor, right? So we have changed and we've been ordering from Amazon for the last, I don't know, pretty much since it started, right? Amazon's great, right? Whether you business counter, Amazon's great, and we always got great delivery, but we realized that we could, with the money that we get, right, from donations,
Sure.
we could almost double, right, our capacity, right, and at a lower cost.
That's amazing.
And so we just, for the first time, we actually today just had delivered 2 pallets worth of hygiene products. And the fun thing is that I start looking at scale. Yeah, you start talking about scale. We ordered almost 2.5 months. Well, we ordered almost 2 months worth of product. And that is somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12,000 products.
Wow.
That we get. And so it's to me, it blows my mind because we hand out 1,000 hygiene kits, in a month. But what it takes to get all of those kits put together, right, and assembled, and the product that needs to be ordered and shipped and everything else, we're talking about anywhere between 10 and 20,000 items, depending on how we order. So it's kind of mind-boggling. And when Sharon says it's the hobby, well, now it's kind of more of a full-time thing, right?
Sure.
And we're not assembling much anymore.
That connection's awesome. And I know you guys are doing some parties and getting community members involved, and I do want to circle back to that. But with this, I would also like to ask you to sort of break it down for people, because most people are used to hitting the drugstore or going to Meijer or whatever and getting their essentials. When we talk about people living on the streets, people that might not have the capacity to tote around with them a ton of items, or frankly get their bags stolen, or have a limited capacity to get their hands on things, what is a hygiene bag? Like, what does it look like? What is inside of it? What is a hygiene bag?
Well, we can get a sample and show you. That's something
I'll tell you what. I'll go grab a sample. You tell them what's in the bag.
Sure. Yeah.
We changed our bags a bit. They used to be larger and have a toilet paper roll in it, and we decided to make it a little more compact so we can put them into boxes just for easier delivery. And if an organization really needs toilet paper, we can get it for them on the side. But our bags are smaller. They're a lot more easier to carry around.
Our guys like the smaller bags, and I'm sure it's easier for the guests and the people on the streets to store them, right?
New ones, here you can show. Did you get these ones? Okay, yeah. Yep. So they're easier to assemble for the special needs. You can see what's there. But we have deodorant, shampoo, lotion, toothbrush, toothpaste. We like to put. I have different organizations that give me Christian, inspirational, devotionals.
Good.
I have people that make encouragement cards that go in there.
Beautiful.
A washcloth. And then one of our special needs girls assembles this smaller bag that's got Q-tips and floss and a razor and Band-Aids and things. So it's a nice little package, that works out well. But what I do, and this is like joy for me because I'm an organizational freak. So we get those shipments in. I bundle everything into the 25 or 50 packs and put them into the boxes. So then the groups that are assembling unbundle it and put them into this form. So yeah, it works out real well.
So what you're describing is being a part of a community, being in relationship with Dina. I know you guys were at the Rock Church at one point, feeling the calling to get involved, jumping in yourselves, having somebody in your life like Dina that can encourage you and, help you take that step. And now through that obedience, through that courage, through you being willing to just help where you can, now you're in a place where you're not only supporting, I think you said 18 organizations, but now you've been able to circle back to a previous place of employment and really give not only tasks, and for people outside of education or people who might not have a person in their family or their circle that's touched by special needs, but you're giving people that are looking for opportunities to connect with the community and help out and to really use the skills that they're working on in their day-to-day at school and beyond to be a part of this. That is so amazing, and it's just so awesome how through your obedience and through what God has provided you, how it's developed.
That's exactly it. That's it. We just take a step of obedience, and the ripples that God does with this is amazing. I mean, that's part of the curriculum now. One of the classes in Lutz, one of the girls that does these small bags, she was working at a workshop, and because of COVID, she couldn't anymore, and she was sitting home doing nothing. So now they made her a little home office. She
Wow.
does assembly for the small bags. She loves it. She works super hard, and I go there and I spend time with her to collect it, and I'll bring her lunch, as her payment, for doing it. And she just, I mean, her stepdad makes a little sign. She's employee of the month, and it just gives her so much purpose. It has been, wouldn't you say, just the trickling, the rippling effects of.
It's amazing
We
what.
have 18 Dinas now,
Yeah,
We
it's
know so
amazing.
many
It's just
people.
what happens. It's just
And the
it's,
stories people
it's
tell
fun
us.
to watch. Yes.
Who would think with hygiene that there would be so many? We just got another thing yesterday from somebody that said that someone was breaking down crying, and she handed her a hygiene kit, and she just used the products to, help her through a breakdown. It's just little things that you do can make such an impact that you have no idea. You know, it's been wonderful.
And it just amazes me. Again, food and shelter are really kind of that 1 and 2 type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But the hygiene piece, it's missed, right? And even when you talk about what government assistance you get, right? There's food assistance, there's housing assistance, right? But again, where do you get your hygiene items from, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And to get it, I think to get it in a prepackaged form, and not rummaging around and just grabbing a whole bunch of samples. I think just getting it to them in a fresh prepackaged form, it has everything that they kind of need.
For a
sitting
month,
right
a
there
month
for-
supply. That's really
and we
important.
think roughly it's a roughly a month supply. But it's also compact enough, right? So if you're on the streets, the bag's reusable, right? So I just
And
it's
foster
amazing.
children, that don't have it, they can carry
Yeah.
it around. I mean, there's so many things like we've learned throughout this that, trying to get a job when you can't keep yourself clean. Well, things
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
It boomerangs back down to what you do, right?
Yeah.
It's not just that. It's giving somebody a shower, even if they haven't, even if it's one a week, right? To be able to do that, it makes an impression. And we saw it firsthand in Mount Clemens, right?
Yeah.
Is the difference from them going in, right, and then coming out, right, and then eating.
Transformational.
It's a beautiful thing to watch. It truly is a beautiful thing to watch.
And it's the most simple thing. It's, everybody takes it for granted, but if you were stripped of everything in all the hygiene in your house, you'd be miserable, It's such a simple gift, for people. And you think we've learned about students, they won't go to school, or they get bullied, or they
Yeah.
can't, think of how you would feel if you can't brush your teeth, and you're going out for the day. It's just simple things, but if you don't have it, it means so much,
Well, I just want to say thank you. And it's evident through, the way you speak and the way you communicate, your compassion and your care for others. And it's just so beautiful on my end to see it touching so many different spaces, and you guys truly getting getting the opportunity, to be a part of all of these wonderful stories. So speaking of stories, and you kind of touched on it there a little bit, I kind of frame it in the terms of what's your wave story. And I think it's kind of a funny sort of like telephone-esque sort of thing. I remember it one way, you remember it another way. But if you could, just kind of thinking it back, like what's your wave story? How'd you get connected with Wave Project? What'd you think about it, and throughout our serving history together, maybe share a little bit about that.
Sure. So the way I remember it is you reached out to us through an email, or really either through email or through Facebook. And that original email is kind of what set the tone, right? Which was, hey, we're the Wave Project. Here's what we're doing. We're doing a monthly barbecue at the Shores Church. Is it Shores?
It was the Well in Mount Clemens.
That's how could I forget that, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Monthly barbecue, and so Sharon and I are looking. It was really kind of in the infancy of what we're doing. I mean, we had been doing downtown Detroit. And this would have been like our second. Yeah, you were our second. Maybe you were our second outreach.
Well, you know what they say: first is the worst, second is the best.
Exactly.
That's the childish nature of a middle school teacher coming out there. Sorry about that.
That's nice. So I think with them, you and I talked on the phone. And I think Sharon was on the phone. We kind of relayed the information. And then we're just like, okay, why not? Let's just go down and see what they're doing. And I don't know how we're going to scrape up 25 hygiene kits, but somehow we scraped up 25 hygiene kits.
One of our first step in obedience.
Yeah, step in obedience.
We don't know how it's going to happen, but we'll say yes.
But it's going to happen.
Oh my gosh, how many times have we said that?
And so, my goodness, we got there, and there's the tent that's set up. You got the barbecue that's going on outside. We introduced each other to each other there. You introduced us to Chris and to Laura and just everybody, right? It was just, and everybody was just like, it was like one big giant hug.
Yeah.
Right. And and that's just kind of how our relationship has been kind of from day one, right? It's been less, well, just kind of getting to know you, and more just, it was one big embrace.
Oh, perfect.
Right.
Yep.
It's kind of been I don't want to say a love fest.
I'll say it. Oh man.
It's been a love fest. kind of from the beginning.
Yeah.
To be that. And then, we have purposefully just been there every time. The barbecues, we were just there, but that's just kind of how I remember it. And as you grew, right, we grew with you, right, to be able to do that.
Yep.
Some of the benefits that we've had is that we've had people donate to us because of our relationship with you.
Oh, awesome.
Exposure because of our relationship with you. As as you were, we were on Mitch album,
yep.
Right? Channel 4. That had everything to do with what God said, go.
Yep.
Right? Said go, we went, we developed the relationship, and we worked hard at the relationship together. And you know what? The reward for us was far more exposure than we probably would have had we not had the relationship with us. So,
well, and that word you just used is what it's all about. And I remember the phone call, and it's funny to think back to a time where we could actually hug one another, and some of those things quite freely, but we are all about the relationships, and I absolutely love and adore that about you all. And, fast friends from the beginning, and, just brothers and sisters in Christ that are moving outward together. And, for us as an organization, one of the things that were really important from the beginning is we really didn't want to replicate service. We wanted to make sure that we were in connection with others, and we could work with others. And I think one of the things that's been so critical to our success, and I perceive your success as well, is the idea that we are helping each other wherever, whenever we can, but we're also able to do our individual thing and do it well and do it alongside each other. So we are able to be just today in Detroit offering showers and loving our guests and our clients well, in part because you guys are doing your thing, and you're working with the Lutz School and all of these different parties to put these hygiene kits together, and we're able to hand them out to a guest and have them take a shower and feel loved and to feel refreshed and to feel taken care of. And it's the collaborative nature of things that makes that work. And I want to emphasize that to the listeners and people that are watching. The nonprofit landscape can be a little bit competitive at times. Some people, for whatever reasons, can be, close-handed and a little bit standoffish. I just love that you guys are willing to say yes, to jump in, and to work with us and so many others just to try to help folks. So that's just wonderful, and we are certainly blessed because of you all.
Yeah, I gotta just kind of remark on something you said is I think through the last 4 or 5 years, Sharon and I have learned that we need to stay in our lane, right? And we can't be all things, and that we need to keep really the blinders on and really just keep that hygiene focus, right? So, we used to get lots of clothes and lots of this and lots of that, right? Which kind of took away a little bit from our focus, which was we need to be able to do and provide to provide hygiene. I think that is why things have been working out so well for us, because we stayed in our lane, right? This is what we do. This is what we provide, right? And we found
we're like
partners.
A support ministry.
Yeah.
And with
Yes.
your group, I mean, it's like hand in glove. I mean,
Yep.
you give showers, we have hygiene. I mean,
Yep.
that just a natural fit,
And I hope you guys understand what a blessing you are to us. How well and how respectfully and responsibly you guys carry out your mission. It is such a true blessing to us, because we frankly wouldn't be able to do it very well, because we are a grassroots organization that is getting this done. So it is just such a blessing to us, and we're so grateful for you. We thank you very much.
Well, that feeling is
Very
completely mutual. And I hope everybody at the Wave realizes that we're very grateful for the relationship that we have.
So what we do. I think part of what I hope this podcast and others like it will do is help paint the picture for folks, that by no fault of their own might not understand what it's like living on the streets. And I'm not talking about in generalities. I'm talking about right now, in Detroit, in Mount Clemens, in Pontiac, the challenges people face, and one of the things I hope happens is that we could not only illustrate that, but help people gain an appreciation, for what those folks are going through. And, hopefully when they walk by somebody or are given an opportunity to help in some way, it might inform that. So, with that being said, if you can maybe, just share a little bit about your opinion related to the need for hygiene services out there, and if, specifically your ministry, but you can even clump Wave Project in there if you want to, hygiene services, collectively, not, across the world, but right here in Metro Detroit. What's the need out there? What does it look like? And how does your ministry and our ministry meet that need?
So I think the need is that's such a multifold question, Todd. But I think if I'm going to paint with a kind of a broad stroke, brush, right? It's, even though the U.S. is economically viable,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's still a large portion, right, of our society that is living, I would say, below that poverty level, right? And when you're at that poverty level below, or even a little above, right, you could be making some decent money,
Mm-hmm.
but not be living above that poverty level, right? You have to make sacrifices, right? Sacrifices could be, it could be lodging, it could be food, right? It could be hygiene, right? And usually that's going to be like the first to go, right? So
Yep.
Any fun, but again, from a necessity,
water for showers.
a necessity for it. The groups that we initially served were, again, I go back to, were a lot of homeless, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even when we're serving with you in Mount Clemens, a good 80% at the barbecues, right? You saw a lot of different, right? You saw veterans who were housed. You saw veterans that were living on the street. Now,
Yep.
you want to get into a whole podcast, let's talk about veterans living on the street.
Yeah.
That should never, ever, 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 ever be happening, right? And then you talk about kind of the general. You have people. Yes, there's people who have drug issues and problems. You can't avoid it, right? Could be alcoholism, right? And then it's the way that they choose to live. We're still there's still a little bit of dignity left, right? They still need showers. They still need hygiene, right? And again, it's just we give with it. We give without judgment. Our I would say our population that we deal with, right? So we're dealing with kind of 18 different organizations
Sure.
that address really, I would say almost, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different segments of this of the groups of people that we talk about. And so when you talk about, we deal with the Veterans Council
Clinton Township.
down in Clinton
Veterans
Township,
Support
right?
Center.
So Veterans Support Center down in Clinton Township, right? We don't know what the makeup of their population is, right?
Yeah.
But there's a big need for hygiene items there, right? And so
Wow.
we deliver,
And they sent them overseas.
and
too.
they have sent some
That's
overseas,
awesome.
Yeah.
to be able to do this. But you talk about other groups like Zaman International, right? Which is, very, very specific from a women and children, support group, right? To be able to do that.
Yeah.
Detroit Rescue Mission, I mean, we know, right?
Yeah.
Again, a lot of homeless. Who's the other one down in Detroit? We do
Brilliant Detroit.
Brilliant
They do
Detroit,
families.
who's trying to do families, reaching out to different neighborhoods. Now they may not be homeless, right? But there is a big need for hygiene
Yep.
there because again, we go back to that poverty level. Yep, they got housing. Yep, they have some food on the table, but they're missing things like hygiene and stuff like that, right? And so they're just trying to take neighborhoods and really do improve neighborhoods, right? From education to housing to hygiene, to all of that. So
And
it's
there's rehab centers,
Yeah.
people that are just coming off the streets, the shelters, the sex trafficking victims. I mean, it just, the students in the lower income, it's just keeps going on. The populations that need what we're doing and what you're doing is just, it's not just people on the streets, and it's a need it's great.
It is a great need. So today we probably service 1/3 of the entire population that we could
Mm.
with our 18 partners. You know, God willing, we get the funding and everything else that we need to grow. Right?
Yeah.
We easily 1,000 bags could easily turn into 2,000 or 3,000 hygiene kits without us even adding any partners. Right? That's
Wow.
how really great the need is. So
Yeah,
we're
just
really
getting these
supplying.
organizations to the 100%, including organizations like yours that are growing and to follow the growth.
Sure.
You know,
Right.
Well, you're so right, and it is a multidimensional problem. And a couple of things that I'm just feeling out of what you're saying is number one, I think there's a big misconception, and it's a injustice in my mind that people just think of the traditional panhandler out there, right? And if we can all come to one commonality over the last year, it's like that need has so many different faces and it's in so many different contexts. And I think, even the partners and the experiences you've been given are representative of that, right? There are so many different types of peoples from so many different backgrounds, from so many different locations. If we're being honest about Metro Detroit, people, draw lines at 8 Mile or wherever else. And it's like, no, in your backyard, right? In your community, these people are in need. And then another thing that stuck out to me, when you were talking is the idea of people pointing to their issues or their problems, right? Whether it be mental health issues, whether it be, substance abuse issues, interpersonal issues, or even just lack of motivation or perceived motivation. And my response to that is always, are you moved to help the person or talk about the problem?
that's
Right.
good. Yep.
And I think that's something for a lot of people to think about. And I don't say that from a prideful place. Of course, we want to put supports in place. Of course, we want to help people along. Of course, our hope is that people can live their best life and experience success in the ways that make sense to them. But if we go back to Maslow's hierarchy, right, all the way back to college and some of those intro philosophy classes some of us took, it's like we need food, we need shelter, but we also need to feel safe and clean and well. And you guys are a big part of that in our community. I know I'm taking a lot of your time, but like we are having a great conversation, so I hope that you'll stick with me. And I don't mean to cut you off there, Sharon. It looks like you had something you wanted to add.
Well, I was thinking that we need to stay in our lane too. We're not called to give there are organizations that help with all those issues. And like your organization, our organizations are called to just serve without judgment and
Yeah.
just, like you said, with their basic needs. And then they can go to other organizations that help, those type of things. So we stay in our lane,
And we're all connected too.
Yeah.
I mean, we put a lot of effort into networking, and there are some, county and even regional resources that help us stay connected.
Right. And if honestly, if they can't, they need this basic help with hygiene and with feeling good and before they can move on to these other steps of helping, because you can't get past that to move on to help yourself if you can't get clean.
Sure.
Can't get your basic needs met. Then you move on and you get the help you need on things. But these are ministries where you serve without judgment and you just love on people.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we can't say no.
We can.
Well, I've yet to experience it yet. And one of the things I want to piggyback off that is when we first picked up the trailer, everybody listening should know that we weren't even sure where we were going to store it yet. That's how grassroots or, maybe unprepared like we felt in the moment. And you guys are so generous that you actually let us park it in your old RV parking spot. For a time before we were blessed with our current location. And as I recall, Greg, you did some tree trimming for us, right?
I did. So
but
yeah,
there's another God thing because, something horrible happened. A tree fell on our RV. We lost it. But something good came out of that. It came right at a time where you needed something. So that was completely God. Completely.
Amen.
That's how.
Yeah, I went up there with a pole saw. I had to go buy a pole saw. We cut everything back so everything would be good. But not just that, the truck that you tow it with was stored on our house too, the day you bought it.
Oh man. It's not that long ago, but it seems so long ago. And again, we're connected at the hip, whether we like it or not. You guys are awesome.
Great. That's what partners do, right?
Yes.
And again, what I think what we like to do is we partner. We like to partner with the groups that we give to, and anytime that we get a chance to partner with them, it always pays off. We do it without expectations, but it always pays off in terms of us being able to provide more.
Yeah.
Well, I'm corny and hokey, and I'm fine being in that way. But I'll just say you guys are fine humans, and I love you guys. Thank you for that. With that, I will get back to my hard-hitting podcast host roots here. People take me very seriously to that extent, and just ask maybe a little pointed question here. We get a lot of joy and a lot of fulfillment out of being able to be involved with our organizations, but it doesn't come without challenge. And when you think back through your experiences, whether it be serving on site, whether it just be showing up to drop off materials, or even just some of the stories you've heard, out of being involved with your ministry, what challenges, what experiences have impacted you most?
Weather downtown.
It's
terrible doing that in the freezing.
Winter time is hard serving outside,
Yeah.
right? But it makes you appreciate. We go out there, once a month, right? Well, people are living out there.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, that was emotionally challenging.
I will tell you, I think some of the hardest stuff is to see some of the people and kind of what shape they're in, whether it's physical or mental.
And then going back in your car, your nice warm car, to your nice little suburban house.
That was it's an eye opener. I think the hardest part is worrying about the financial end of it.
Yeah.
Right. Because we have made a commitment. We made a commitment to you 3 years ago, right? Yeah. That says we will deliver every month, right?
But you can say that's hard, but at the same time, it has grown us in our faith. Yeah. That we yin and yang a little, or we ebb and flow with that. We stress and think this is impossible. How is this going to happen? We made these commitments, and then and then God shows up in all these ways that we just like what it just comes from over here and over here. So we've sort of I mean, we have our times, where we stress about it, but then we tell each other, God will figure it out. And he always, always, always does. He always does.
Yeah. It's just, it's uncanny.
And so it calms us. So we're our own worst enemies sometimes with worrying about how we can continue this. And honestly, if you leave it up in God's hands, this is his ministry. If he wants us to do it, he'll provide for it.
Yeah.
We do our part, and we ask, and we do all the things we can do. And if he wants it to keep going, he'll make it keep going. If he says this is it, someone else is going to do this, then that's what will happen.
We're just the foot soldiers.
Yeah, it really gets you in a peaceful place. Not that we're always there,
Sure.
but we come back to it all the time. So
that's beautiful.
It's like tithing. You have to trust.
Amen. With that being said, thinking back to, you feeling the nudge to jump in and help out with Dina's ministry and get down there. I think every person can connect with a moment in time in which they've been inspired to get involved with something or been presented with an opportunity, and having some indecision involved with that moment, being afraid, maybe being overwhelmed, maybe feeling unqualified, right? You think about your own personal experience and where God has brought you to now. What would you say to the individual whom God has placed something on their heart in terms of stepping into service, or somebody who's considering volunteering with Blessing Bags Brigade or Wave Project, or heck, I'm not going to shy away from it financially. There are some people who do not have the time or the talent or the makeup to get out on site, but maybe they've been blessed with funds and finances and they're considering Wave Project or Blessing Bags Brigade. What would you say to those individuals in the moment where they're deciding if they're going to jump in as a volunteer, if they're going to jump in and trust our organizations with their funds? What would you say?
Listen to God and do it. We resisted really bad when Dina wanted us to go downtown. We were like, well, I can't speak for you, but I was like, no, this is not it's out of my comfort zone. No. And then she said, this is what you need to do. And we just took a leap of faith and it changed everything. When you just trust God, and if you have that feeling, that's God in there, and you listen, and what he can do is just beyond what you can imagine. What do you think?
I agree. It's just I think maybe it was less hard for me to go, but I mean, to give advice is, if you're thinking about doing it, then find a group of people who are doing what you're interested in doing, right? And take every one of our 501c3s, all of our charities, we all need help, right? Mm-hmm. You can go to our website and look, here's ways to give. Make cards, donate your time, donate money, right?
And we can tell you that people that are doing that get so much and so much joy out of it, that we actually created a way for God to grow us and move any way he wants by doing these this ambassador program, where we make box kits for groups that can order them from us, and they can assemble them and deliver them themselves, because we see the joy that people get from serving. The people that make the encouragement cards, they love it. They call back and say, can we make more encouragement cards? People that donate money, they're so happy when they see where their money goes and what happens, or what the difference that they're making. The joy that they get and the understanding that they're making a difference, it's what you get back from things is amazing. And everybody that has helped us out, I would say nobody has really regretted it.
Yeah,
everybody comes back with the joy.
And we brought people downtown with us, and it's just it's an eye opener, right? It's an eye opener in terms of just understanding, right, what the population is, right? But it's also an eye opener that just says we need to serve more.
Yeah.
And Todd, you mentioned, just kind of trusting with finances. If you take a look at what we do and how we do it, right? say close to 98% of all dollars that we're trusted with, right? It goes right back out in product.
That's
right?
wonderful.
That other 2% is for website, right? It's Gmail, it's just basic stuff, right? To be able to do that.
Happen.
What we have to do for the state and federal government, and pay those wonderful fees. Depending on how we buy, we pay a little bit of state tax because we need something a little bit faster, right?
Sure.
So yeah, 98% of every dollar that we receive gets brought in and put right back out in terms of the hygiene kit.
That's extraordinary.
And for us, it is. And as we grow more, right, our goal is to still keep that number between 95 and 98, because that's what charity is,
Yep.
right? It is, yes, there's still going to be administrative costs that we're going to have to do as we grow, right? But we've got to be in that mid to high 90% that says, look, that 95 to 98 cents for every dollar that we get has to be pushed back out into the field where it's needed most.
I call that a horizontal model, right?
Yeah.
And then that's really important to inform people and to keep them just updated and to see what we're actually doing. That's what we really try with our social media and everything, to keep people in the loop so that they can watch and see what they've contributed and the good it does.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to sort of respect your time, and we're going to wrap up here, but it's a question that, I ask our guests when they come on here, if they have a point of view or an experience related to it. WAVE stands for Welcoming All, Valuing Everyone. Our mission is to share love by providing mobile showers to those in need. And, I'm sincerely, truly asking for your earnest opinion and outlook, because I think that's what our listeners would appreciate. But in your opinion, in your experience, being on the streets with us, do you feel like WAVE Project is living up to its mission?
Absolutely.
I've seen it. We truthfully, we've seen it in action. We watch how, we watch how you set up. We watched the first barbecue, right? Where, it's important that every fed, right? You welcomed all, right? There were people coming from the houses behind, the church. There were people coming from the park to be able to do that. They're coming off the street. Everybody's coming in, right? And then you grew a little bit, and then you added barber chairs into the church. And now you're giving haircut, welcoming all. You're serving needs that they have. And even when you first set up the shower, I think you had 6 people that first day, right? And I remember, you came out, but again, that's more volunteers than you had people who needed. But it was welcoming. People came in, we ate, there's camaraderie. We sit down with whoever comes in, we have discussions. Where are you from? What are you doing? How can we help?
Dignity.
And it's just, you don't treat them as they're homeless, right? You treat them as you almost treat them as their family, right? And it's kind of welcome home, sit down, have a good meal, right? Oh, do you need hygiene? Yes. We've got Blue Cross Blue Shield. We've got veteran services, sitting over here to help you. And again, it's just the sheer number of volunteers that you're able to get, right? That just meets and addresses the needs of the population that you serve. It's been fun to watch, and it's even more fun and amazing to be part of.
Well, thank you guys so much. I want to give you an opportunity, to get your information out there. So if you could share your website, your social media, any of those sorts of things, any events or important things you want to send out, send all that out right now.
All right. So our website is www.blessingbagsbrigade.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram under Blessing Bags Brigade of Michigan. For that, we're super accessible. So if you have questions, you want to donate, our website has a donate button sitting on there. We could always use funds. I always want to just order more products so we can get more people served, to be able to do that. You have questions, comments, support, whatever you need, we really message us through Facebook or send us an email. We're always answering questions, phones, anything, and that's just kind of what's going on. We do have a June fundraiser coming up,
Awesome.
and so basically, we have a 1999 Tahoe that's sitting in where your truck used to be.
Oh, okay.
Right?
It's getting
So
used.
we're donating. We're donating that to Blessing Bags.
Okay.
Because of our growth, something much bigger, right? To carry 1,000 or 2,000 hygiene kits, so we can deliveries in a single day. It needs to work. It's a fundraiser for. We're gonna have a fundraiser to get that kind of up and running and moving forward. We're working on online auctions, bottle drives, some GoFundMe's, for this.
Sure.
As Sharon mentioned, a couple of things that we do have. We have the ambassador program, and the ambassador program is on our website. And basically, you're buying a box, right, that has everything you need to do your own assembly parties.
That's awesome.
To be able to do that.
Yeah, so you get the box to the group, you put them together, and then you go give them to whatever group you want. And that's what we're saying. God will just organically grow us where he wants it to go, whoever's inspired. And then there's a hashtag Hope Through Hygiene. So you document what you did and share it on the social media.
Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for your faithful service, for the way that you love people experiencing homelessness and those in need, and we just really appreciate you. So to all the WAVEcast supporters and the Wave Project supporters, please check out Blessing Bags Brigade. Please support them. We love them, and follow them on all their socials and help them where you can. That would be greatly appreciated. And as far as Wave Project goes, we are going to continue to get out there and love others by providing mobile showers to those in need. We are in Oakland County, Macomb County, Wayne County. We're going to keep working through the next month and beyond to help as many people as possible. So please, if you can, visit our website, get involved. There are links there so that you can come out and volunteer. It is not only an opportunity to love on some people, but it's a lot of fun to be in community, as you can hear through what Greg and Sharon just shared. If you don't have time to get out, you can support us in other ways. We have an Amazon wish list on our website, or there is a strong need, a sincere need for monthly partners. So if you like anything about Wave Project, if you want to support us, even $10 a month would be a huge help. So please consider that. Otherwise, we hope that you and your family are well, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.